Alex Anthopoulos met with the media following the first significant signing of the offseason. And the thing that everyone wanted to know is what's next? Well, he didn't really provide much of an answer. He said they are not close on anything. They do have money that they can spend. If the estimations from Mark Bowman, which we talked about yesterday, are correct, we can imagine it's around $20 to $25 million. And the simple fact is, even if they're not close on anything, and that very well could be true, it very well could not be true. You know, Alex Anthopoulos isn't going to give you much, even though he's usually pretty truthful. They got to add pitching. I don't think they're going to upgrade from Orlando State. We just talked about in the last segment. This is a very good lineup, as is, with him batting ninth, and I think that's just fine. But they have got to get arms, particularly bullpen arms. I mean, you lose AJ Mentor. This guy was one of the best relievers over a 4-year stretch, the leader in the bullpen. You lose Joe Jimenez, who was your setup guy, and now you have Raisel Iglesias and what? I mean, when you're talking about a championship caliber roster, like, you need guys in there that are pumping 97, 98. They can get high strikeouts from both sides. And we don't have that. Like, we can say Dasbell Hernandez and be a hopeful, Grant Holmes, whether he's a starter or reliever, and be hopeful, but they've got to get pitching depth. And I think it's probably going to come in the form of relievers because they're cheaper, rather than one starting pitcher and putting all their eggs in that basket. But they got to get, in my opinion, at least two more relievers.
Yeah. I mean, just a year ago, you have 4 high leverage guys, 4 real high leverage guys where, push comes to shove, you really don't even care who's out there. You got 2 right now, Pierce Johnson and Raisel.
I don't even know if I'm putting Pierce Johnson in that conversation.
I think he's a high leverage reliever for argument's sake. It doesn't really matter if he is or isn't. You still need 3 or 4 high leverage guys with another 2 who you trust, who can, like you said, bring that heat. That's what you need in the postseason. And that's what a bullpen really is. It's for the postseason. A great bullpen is never going to really win you a ton of games in the regular season. While they may come up big in a couple of instances, it's not like a pitching staff or a rotation where it can actually win you a ton of games. But it's vital in the postseason. And I agree with, I think the bullpen is in more need. I always ranked it, outfield, bullpen, rotation. And the only reason I put the rotation last is because, we've got enough crap in our hands that we could throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Somebody is going to emerge, outside of the Ronaldo Lopez, Schwellenbach, Strider, Sale, to kind of take that 5th, 6th top spot. Obviously, they're going to give Ian Anderson and Grant Holmes the first go at it, but you still got some guys in AAA who we know. I mean, you just saw it with Schwellenbach, who just emerged as a legitimate start. Like, he's got legitimate frontline stuff, and he's barely pitched in his life. So that and to be, and like you said, it's cheap as hell. Like, it really is cheap to just go out there and get one. And in that same breath, you can always do it at the trade deadline. Relievers go a dime a dozen at the trade deadline. So that's another aspect that you got to keep in mind. Dasbell Hernandez, hope is not a strategy. I always say it all the time. We are high on him, but like I said, and Alex Anthopoulos has never been this kind of guy, but hope is not a strategy. You cannot go in hoping that, somebody emerges as a high leverage guy. You can't hope that somebody, becomes a staple in the rotation. You got to go get guys that you're sure of. And I do think those 2 guys in particular, Grant Holmes and Dasbell Hernandez, could emerge as staples in their respective areas.
Yeah, I definitely think Dasbell Hernandez is a guy that you're going to hear a lot of. I think Aaron Bummer is a guy who was fantastic for the Braves after a little bit of a rough start. That
gets a bad rap.
Yeah, I mean, if left-handed guys
really
are up,
good. He was really damn good.
He's unbelievable. I think Dylan Lee has been fantastic for this team. So it's not the worst bullpen ever, but getting at least one more guy, I think, is a must. Maybe not 2 more guys, but one is a must, and then you can readdress things at the trade dedeline because you never know what's going to happen.
And there's still a ton of relievers out there.
Yeah, but they could get. Listen, if Jack Flaherty is willing to come on a incentivized deals, do team options, an inflated deal for him, because hell, then your rotation's so damn good. You figure out the bullpen at the trade deadline, and guess what? You can also throw Ronaldo Lopez back into the bullpen.
Grant Holmes,
Grant Holmes is now a high leverage reliever, so a starter would really give this team depth.
Ian Anderson's out of options. Throw him in the bullpen.
I think Jack Flaherty is going to be too expensive and probably looking for, I think he's probably looking for $25+ million a year with probably opt-outs after every season. And the Braves aren't going to do that. But I definitely think one pitcher, starter, reliever, whatever is a must. I think that will happen before the start of the season. We're going to get into about another Braves pitcher, Spencer Strider, coming up after the break.